Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Spirit Chats with Kat. Just a disclaimer first off for you. I am on the verge of sickness, so I'm struggling not to lose my voice. If I sound a little froggy and you hear some sniffing, um, I brought something home from work with me, and it's not a spirit this time. So just to give you all a heads up as to if I seem a little spacey or why I might sound funny, that would be it. Um, some more housekeeping before we get going on this episode itself. You can listen to us now on Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, SoundCloud, Podchaser, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. So those are all the places that you can listen to Spirit Chats with Kat and see what goes on in each episode. Take us with you. Also, I have been convinced, and it didn't take a lot of convincing. I actually have been sort of mulling over the idea myself. Um, I have Spirit Chats with Kat is now on Twitter. I wanted to make this a more interactive experience for you all. So, over on Twitter, you can get some peek into, the animals that you hear in the background. You'll get to see some pictures of them. You'll get to see some pictures of my son, the person that has been instrumental in me, taking the chance to do this podcast to try to help people. And he also was encouraging me to go on social media. I got off of social media because I feel like so much of it is negative, and I really struggle with being exposed to too much negativity. It starts making me feel very, very agitated. So I try to avoid negativity if I can. I'm a little nervous about this process, to be totally honest with you guys, because of that. And I really do want to keep this a positive experience, not just for me. This isn't about me, really. This is about anyone else out there that is experiencing things that I've gone through. This is for you guys. So that is one reason that I said, "Oh, okay, let's let's go ahead and dip our toe in over there on Twitter and see what that's about, and give you guys, the chance to see a little bit about what my life is like, so you can see, what kind of person this is that you're listening to, and give you a chance to interact as well. I've posted some articles over there. I've posted some links there for you as well, to trailers for the shows and things like that I've recommended to you, so that you can, have an easier time finding them. The articles, I'm big on educating myself, so I will dig around and find articles that explain things in a way that is easily understandable. Also, I tend to post articles that fall in line with my own experience. And I am not trying to convince you that this is what happens. It's what happens with me. Whether it happens overall, I really don't know. And I'm not asking you to believe what I say. I'm here presenting, hey, this is what happened to me. if this is happening to you, you're not alone. Someone else out there is having these things happen as well. So that is what this is about. This is not about me. So that's why, even though I tend to be a little more risk averse, I'm willing to take that risk to help other people. So we are handle over, I don't even know I don't know what to call it. So please bear with me if I sound ridiculous, but our handle over there on Twitter is at spiritchats_cat, K-A-T. Excuse me. So I will also, I think I'll go ahead and put that in the prologue for this episode so that in case I didn't make sense to anyone, you can see exactly what it is. Also, this I'm more excited about because this is less, this isn't social media. This is, it's still I feel it's still a little bit risky for me, but again, this is a risk that I want to take for you all. So I did go ahead and get an email set up. Instead of opening up the comments, we're across so many media sites, so many podcasting sites that I wanted to have one place for everyone to send their questions and comments and things like that to. So I went ahead and we now have an email. So it's functional now, so you all can start emailing me your questions or comments or diagnoses for myself or whatever it is that you want to email me, within reason. I do have people that are going through those emails for me to make sure that nothing inappropriate comes my way. So please keep everything appropriate. The email address is Katrina, Katrina, .Murphy, Murphy, 1768 @gmail.com. And you can go ahead and start sending in, anything that you would like me to talk about on an episode of this podcast, or any questions you have about things I've already talked about on this podcast. So hopefully that helps you guys too. Also, one last thing, I did do a DNA test and I got my results back on that. And it's the craziest thing because, my whole life, I told you I laugh because I look at myself as the family weirdo. And I don't really feel like there's anything wrong with being the family weirdo. Sometimes, that's just, there's going to be a family weirdo and I just happen to be the one, I don't have a problem with that. It amuses me, So, this explains a lot. That's all I'll say. In reference to being the family weirdo, it explains a lot about why I don't fit in with my family. And it also, besides the fact that I'm just odd to them, this explains why I'm probably odd to them. It's actually genetic, because I am genetically very different than they are. So I just wanted to share with you real quick. I did come back as 40% Scottish. I knew I was most likely going to be the majority Scottish, because of where I come from. Uh, but as I said before, I tend to identify more with my Irish DNA. I don't know why that is. I will also tell you that during the course of investigating my family tree, I did find a family member. Uh, I found someone that is Irish, and she shares. She's an ancestor, and she shares the same exact birth date as me. And because I identify so much with my Irish side, um, and because we share the same birth date, um, I kind of don't think that is a coincidence. So, things that make you go, I am 24% English, or from Northwestern Europe in general. This is a surprise to me, but I wondered at one point in my life if this might be so. Um, we have a lot of tall people in our family, and for some reason, without knowing much about it, so my apologies to those of you out there that actually are from this genealogy. I always felt like Swiss people were tall, but I mean, most people are tall compared to me. So I wondered if we had that in our family, because I'm the shorty. Not only am I the family weirdo, I'm also the shorty in the family. Um, but I'm 16% Swedish / Danish. Okay? So um, while that doesn't surprise me, it does surprise me. I know that makes no sense, but makes perfect sense at the same time. And I am 16% Irish. I'm 2% Norse. I'm sorry. 2% Norse, and I wondered also if I might have some Norwegian in me, a little Viking in there, because I've hinted to the fact that in one point in my life I had quite the temper, and I've had to smash that down and, act like a civilized human being. So I wondered if I didn't have a little bit of Viking in me somewhere hiding out. And then I am also 2% Welsh. So the majority of me is Celtic, and that probably is why I have always identified so hardly. I mean, so hard, not hardly, but I have always identified very hard with that part of my bloodline. Um, and Another surprise to me was that comparing my DNA with other family members who have had theirs done, theirs was very different from mine. So it looks like not only did I get all the shortness genetically in the family and the weirdness genetically in the family, I also got the Celtic in the family, because they had very little themselves compared to what my results came back as. So, as I say, that explains so many things about me. So I just wanted to share that with you all. And, just I recommend that experience if that's something that you're thinking about doing. But I also have to caution you that if you do that, be aware that the results that you get back may not be what you were hoping for, and you may not have a positive experience with it like I did. So I just have to caution you a little bit there. So now, on to the spirits. So, this episode, I'm just basically continuing where I left off on the last episode, still in this location. And I do have to say that, I always have that heavy feeling here. That, like someone is invading my personal space. There's always any number of spirits here with me, and there have been from the moment that I walked into this place, as you hear on the last episode. So, but then if it's an unknown spirit to me, most of the time I can pick up on whether it's connected to me or whether it's connected to my husband or whether there is no connection. And this is a spirit that's drawn to me because I am some type of beacon. I am someone that can be seen in both worlds because, I live in both worlds, and I have from looking back, I've been kind of doing some soul searching lately about when this all started. And I can definitely say it did start before my death, but my death is when it became constant. That was when it became constant. And it could be that, once I died, my ancestors became aware that there was a problem down here, and that or here, wherever, that there was a problem where I was, and that they needed to watch over me, and give me the strength to keep going. So maybe that's why the activity amped up. A lot of it in the beginning, a lot of it was them. And then it just exploded. Woo! And it just keeps getting, I don't think I've hit the apex yet, actually, of this whole entire experience. Who knows? I'm excited. Thanks to you guys. I am very excited about where this may take me. Nervous and excited. So thank you all for that. Thank you all for completely changing my perspective as far as this gift is concerned. To be able to view this as a gift and not as a curse. I just appreciate that so much. That's life-changing, you guys. That is totally, totally life-changing. And I owe that to you. I owe that to the people that download this podcast and listen to this podcast. And, I owe that all to you. So I'm forever grateful to you for that. So, I want to tell you about an experience that I had just a few months back, maybe 6 months ago now, actually. And this is an experience, this is a first for me as well. A lot of activity happens when I go to lay down for the night. Especially, a lot of it happens when I'm in the bedroom by myself. There will be a lot of times where I go back to bed first because, my husband wants to stay up later and watch his man shows that I can't handle because it's man stuff. So I'll go back to bed early and I'll be in there and stuff will start happening. Like the other night's a perfect example. I went back to bed before him, and the minute I laid my head down, there were footsteps all around the bed the minute I laid down. So, and then I kind of said, oh, here we go. Because I was really tired that night and I wasn't feeling like having friends over. I was trying to go to sleep. So I kind of popped up and said, come on, please. This is not the night. I need to get some sleep tonight. So I need you to calm down. And I don't know actually if they calmed down or if I just fell asleep. I really don't remember them calming down. They just kept walking around and I kept feeling the heavy feeling on my back, laying on my side in the bed. And then I'm guessing they never did calm down. Because at one point, my husband told me that he came back to the bathroom, and the bathroom is next to the bedroom, and there's a door that leads from the bathroom into the bedroom and a door that leads from the bathroom into the hall. And he said that he heard somebody outside the bathroom door in the hall, and he thought it was me. And he called out, I'll be out in just a minute. And then when he came out, I was dead to the world, asleep in bed. So, there's no way it could have been me. So I really don't think that they ever calmed down that night. And maybe that had something to do, I think it was right around the full moon as well that was happening. So, there's always activity in the bedroom. So this night, I went back early and I was about to go to sleep, but I was not asleep at all. Wide awake, but just relaxed. And I felt someone come to me. And I could see him. And it was a young man. And he was taller than me. I would say anywhere between 5'8" and 5'10". He was thin. He had a goatee. And he wore glasses. And he had a watch. He kept showing me his watch. And it was this nice black watch. I don't know what kind of watch it was, but he had on a red sweater, black jeans, and white high-top tennis shoes. And he did not, he couldn't understand why he was looking at me, like what I was doing there. He couldn't, or what he was doing where I was. He couldn't understand that there was just a lot of confusion around all of it for him. And I just knew, and I can't say I knew because A, B, C, and D. A lot of times it doesn't work like that. It's my gut. My gut is saying, this person just died. And he didn't realize that he had passed away. And he kept staring at me. I was trying to go to sleep and he just kept staring at me. And I said, oh, you can't do that. And he was getting very close to me. And I said, I can't have you doing that. I need you to back off. That's not how this works. You need to please respect my space, back off. And he started yelling at me. He was getting upset with me, okay? Like, Who are you? What are you doing here? Like, I was trespassing, okay? There you go. That was exactly the feeling. The feeling I got was that he felt I was the trespasser. And bear in mind, he's in my bedroom. And I said to him, I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened, but you've passed away. And he just started yelling and screaming at me that I was lying. You're lying, you're lying. And I kept telling him, no, I'm sorry, I'm not. I know it's really hard. I know it's really hard to understand, but I'm not. I am telling you, you have passed away and your family's waiting. They're waiting for you. They love you. You need to go be with them. And he just kept yelling at me that I was lying to him. So, I tried to be understanding and tried to talk him through it. And that night, he wouldn't leave. And I didn't call the ancestors at that point because, this wasn't a threat. This sweet guy wasn't a threat. He was in shock. He did not know what had happened. And here I am trespassing in his room. So or wherever, I don't know if I was in his room as far as he was concerned, but I was the trespasser. And he was pacing around the room and kept yelling at me to get out and stuff. And of course, I didn't get out, There was like a standoff between the two of us. He wasn't going anywhere. I wasn't going anywhere. So finally, he sat down on the edge of the bed, and I felt him, poof, down on the edge of the bed next to me. And his knee was just bouncing. Both of them, I think, were bouncing because the bed was just bouncing, just really bouncing. And I'm awake through all of this. I'm not dreaming. I'm awake. I'm trying to figure out, okay, how am I going to help this guy? So eventually, he's muttering to himself and biting his nails and sitting there on the edge of the bed with his legs bouncing. And eventually I just get so tired that I fall asleep. So get up the next day. I'm working a lot right now, a lot more than I typically do right now. So, I didn't really have time to think about this poor sweet guy the next morning. So I just got up, got ready for work, took off, came home that evening, made dinner, blah, 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 and then went back and went to bed. And again, I went to bed early. I went back to bed before my husband did this night as well. And I lay down in bed, and the minute I lay down, turn the light out, roll over on my side, he's grabbing my arm. Just grabbing me like, trying to determine, is what I'm seeing real? Because at this point, he's kind of realizing that there's something going on here, that something isn't right. But if what I said is true, why can he touch me? And he would just grab me. And the first time he grabbed me, I jumped because I wasn't expecting that at all. And he just grabbed, around my wrist and all the way up my arm. Just like, it felt like both of his hands going up my arm. I could feel his fingers and everything. Like, are you for real? You know, that kind of thing. So I'm wondering if the reason that he was checking me out so hard is because he had tried to interact with other things and it wasn't as easy as interacting with me. So he was trying to figure out, okay, what really is happening here? Was he losing his mind? You know? So this went on for quite some time. I think it went on for 9 or 10 days, you know. And I just didn't call the ancestors for help because I felt like somebody from his family would be calling him, you know. And I kept telling him, dude, your family's probably looking for you. Call somebody's name, someone that's passed away. You know, if your grandmother's passed away or whatever it is, call their name. You know, whoever you know that has passed already, call them, yell for them, because I guarantee you they're looking for you. So this went on every night for quite a while. And he kept refusing. He wouldn't listen to anything I said. And he kept saying, I'm not listening to you. You're a liar. You know, and stuff like that because I'm trying to tell this poor guy he passed. And he was young. He was like 19. I would say between the ages of 19 and 21 is what he looked like to me. So he was a young man. So this was totally unexpected for him. And he looked very intelligent too. And he seemed very intelligent as well. Very well educated and probably some degree, you know, or some interest in something technological or scientific, something along those lines. That's the impression I got from this young man. Just really well put together and probably had a lot of plans already set up, and that's why he didn't want to hear that those plans weren't going to be able to come to fruition because they were important to him. So, you know, finally, a person who's trying to tell the truth can only handle being called a liar so many times before they're just like, all right, I just can't take any more of this. So I called my ancestors and I said, you guys, please help me. This young man doesn't realize what has happened. And he's been harassing me. You know, he just doesn't understand. Please show him, take him and show him what, you know, where he is and how it works and what's going on. He thinks I'm lying to him because he can feel me. He can touch me and he can hear me and see me. So he thinks that I'm not being truthful with him. Please help him. Please show him where to go and what to do. Take him to his family so that he can be with loved ones. Help him understand what's going on and help him understand why he can interact with me. And sure enough, they came. And, you know, this time it wasn't three people come in like it was the last time that we talked about me calling them for help with the negative spirit. For this guy, it was just one guy came. And he just pulled him aside and said, hey, you know, what's going on? What's going on, man? You know, and this young man started unloading, venting to my ancestor. And, you know, my ancestor, he handled it very sweetly and just put his hand on the young man's shoulder and he said, oh, yeah, Come on, I'll explain everything to you and I'll help you get where you need to go. And they went off together. This young man went willingly with my ancestor. So, and I'm assuming that I can't assume. I know my ancestor took him to his family because this young man never came back. But I have to say that typically the feelings that I get, this was the first time I ever felt like, oh my goodness, this person just passed. And I felt with him there was a shooting involved or something. Something that he couldn't comprehend had happened to him. He wasn't expecting it at all. So, it was instantaneous, whatever it was. And I didn't get the feeling that it was a car accident. So I just got the feeling, I don't know why, but that it was a shooting. So now, very frequently when I go back to bed early, I actually feel someone get into bed with me. So one night I was asleep and I thought what I was feeling was my husband coming and getting into bed. Because what happens is when he comes to bed, he has a ritual. If I'm already asleep, he wakes me up so that he can tell me good night and give me a good night kiss and tell me sweet dreams, and that's his ritual. So, and he wakes me up to tell me good night. So, I thought this night that that's what was happening. I felt someone get in bed with me. So I rolled over on that side, expecting him to roll over facing me and give me a kiss and, say, good night, beautiful, I love you, sweet dreams, which is what he always says, and it never happened. Like, none of that ever happened. So I laid there for what must have been seconds, waiting for it to happen. And when it didn't happen, I opened my eyes, expecting to be looking at him, and there was no one there. So I was shocked. I popped straight up in bed, sitting there looking around like, what in the world? And turned on the light and, went about checking to see what was going on. Had I imagined it? What was happening? Like, had I imagined him coming back? That sort of thing. So after that experience, I knew that somebody will periodically come get into bed with me. I mean, like I said, I will try to figure it out first. Maybe it's not that I'm doubting myself. It's just I'm trying to rule everything out that it could possibly be before I say, hey, this is spirit activity, just because it's things you can't see, So that's just what I do, because I have a logical, analytical mind. That's the first thing that I do. I start analyzing it, look for logical explanations to it, and then because my gut talks to me and points me in directions as well, then I recognize if there's no logical explanation for it, I recognize it's spirit activity, and it's happened so often to me that even though it does surprise me, I still recognize this is what's happening. So, who this person is, I feel like it's connected to my husband. On his side, and before, let me just say, it's not creepy. It's not a creepy thing, okay? So it's not one of those, I don't know, on so many of the TV shows, I hear people saying that certain things happened, a spirit did certain things to them in bed, and that's one of those things that I'm like, I don't know. I don't know about that, but that's just me. I mean, you guys know, that's just me. While I'm open, I'm also skeptical until it happens to me, and that's something I don't want to happen to me, ever. And these vibes, trust me, I have spidey senses for creepy people and creepy spirits, and this was not it. So whoever it is, I feel like they're just wanting to remember what it was like to lay down in bed next to another person. Because I feel like when we pass and we no longer, I think that when we pass, sometimes we miss certain routines that we enjoyed when we were alive, And I think that's what this is. I think that's someone connected to my husband that is missing a routine that they enjoyed, which is laying down in bed at night, with another human being for companionship. So it's happened. This has happened more than once, and it also is something that my husband witnessed one night not too long ago when he came into the bedroom, and whoever it was, whoever likes to lay on his side of the bed at nighttime, he said he saw someone laying on his side of the bed under the blankets, covered up with the blankets. So, there's somebody that likes to come in there and remember what it was like to lay next to another human being for the night. That was something they enjoyed, and they miss it. And then, having my husband see that is very validating for me. Very validating. It's like, oh, yeah, okay. Because while I know what's going on, I am always looking for affirmation that my thoughts on a subject are accurate, if that makes sense. So that's why I'm always educating myself as well. Not just about spirit contact and things like that, but I'm always educating myself all day long at work as well, because I'll have this idea. I sit there analyzing stuff for my patients, and I'll have this idea, and I'll think to myself, ooh, I bet if I stimulate this part of the brain, it will strengthen this, activity, or it will strengthen these nerve endings that will help my patient accomplish that milestone. And so then I will start, figuring out activities that stimulate that part of the brain and that will strengthen those nerve endings and, help the patient accomplish the milestone. This is what I'm always doing. And with the spirits, I do the same thing. Ooh, I bet you that this is happening, and, I'll analyze it and I'll have this hypothesis as to what's happening. So then when I get affirmation from other sources, it begins to prove my hypothesis correct. And that's how my brain functions. That's how I started dealing with spirits very logically versus emotionally. I try not to do a whole lot with my emotions and to listen to my gut and go at things analytically. So, it was very validating for me that my husband actually saw an individual in bed with me. Oh, that just sounded so weird. Whew. It's a good thing I have a very sweet, very understanding husband who rolls with all of this. I'm telling you what. So now let's just get away from that whole thing altogether, because now I feel uncomfortable about it. Because I just heard how that sounded. I had an experience one night that reminded me that I need to keep the closet door closed when I'm in the bedroom to give the spirits that hang out in the bedroom a private place to be. So one night, in our bedroom, we have a treadmill, and I keep free weights in there as well. And I like to, when I have the time, get on the treadmill and use the free weights, and then I'll do yoga stretches at the end of that to just stretch everything out and get myself relaxed and ready for bed. So this night I had forgotten to close the closet door, and I just felt a heavy feeling all night long. Just heavy, 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 heavy feeling. And things were happening in the room. Occasionally our bedroom light will flicker and things like that. And for 3 years now, I've been telling myself, oh, that bulb's about to go out. But I really don't think the bulb is about to go out. I do feel like it's spirits, and they're affecting the lights in there. And also they do that with my treadmill, which that part's very frustrating because I've even gotten like really expensive equipment to keep the treadmill speed from fluctuating and things. This is one of my spacey moments. It's one of those things. Oh, a surge protector. There we go. I got an expensive surge protector to use with it. Heavy duty, the best, one of the best I could find. Because I just wanted to rule out that it was the outlet, or that I should say it wasn't the outlet. I know what it is when I'm in there. It's some spirit messing around over there when I'm trying to use the treadmill. That's super frustrating. But, so, this night I was going through my routine, and I'd gotten to the point where I was stretching. Lights were on, everything. I laid down on the floor, and I was doing my stretches and had my eyes closed because I was trying to get relaxed and ready for bed. And I stretched my arms out to the side, and what I do when I do that is I'll stretch them out and I'll keep them from just touching the floor. Okay, so I'll get as low as I can to the floor, but keep them from falling to the floor, and I'll hold it there as long as I can to just stretch it out. And my hand went under the bed, under the foot of the bed. We have one of those beds that you adjust. You can adjust the head up and down. You can adjust the foot of it up and down and things like that. So there's quite a bit of clearance under the bed. I mean, I've gotten under there. Our Great Dane actually has gone under there because that's how tall it is. She'll, when she's scared or doesn't want to get her flea medicine or something like that, she'll go hide under the bed. So there's quite a bit of room under there. So I'm stretching my hands under the bed, and I hadn't been stretching in that position for very long when I felt this little bitty hand grab my pinky and the finger right next to it and just hold it in a little fist. And I looked over real quick, because I'm like, there's no kids in here. And being a pediatric nurse, I have little bitty ones who like to hold my hand, not ever in that way, but for some reason, this little person, that's what they grabbed, those two fingers. Usually they'll grab my forefinger is what these little guys like to grab. They like to put their little hand around my forefinger, but this little person grabbed my pinky and my ring finger, and squeezed it real tight. And I looked over, immediately it's like, oh, kid, baby, toddler is what it felt like. It felt like a little toddler. And of course there was no one there that I could see. There was someone there, but I couldn't see this sweet little person. And then I realized, oh, I left the closet door open. And so from that point forward, I started closing the closet door when I go in there. It's one of the things that I do to prepare for, my exercise routine. It is now my routine to close the closet door so that the sweet spirits that are with me have a place to be. So now that brings us to something that happened. That I feel like was another thing that happened that I feel like is connected to my husband. My husband, if any of his family is listening to this, I apologize if I mean no offense by bringing this up, and I hope none is taken. My husband has a sibling that has passed, and I feel that he comes from time to time. And for a period of time, I felt that he was here with us. Why? I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure why he was here. I think he does come to check in on his brother, though. And that seems like something he might do just from what my husband has told me about him. And I felt that he was here during this time when this incident occurred. So what happened was, when the weather's good, my husband and I have a ritual of taking our coffee out on the deck. And we'll sit on the back deck, drink our coffee, watch the horses, just relax and chit-chat and enjoy some fresh air. I have some lanterns that hang on hooks inside the apartment in the living room. And I put inside them the battery operated candles. And they come with the remote. And, I can have them go on for 5 hours and they'll shut themselves off afterward. Um, but, unless I turn them on, they don't come on by themselves. So we were out and drinking our coffee, and we came back in the house, and all three of the candles were on. They were all turned on and just flickering away. And immediately popped into my head that it was his brother. That was his brother. And my husband, he has mentioned to me several times that he wants contact. He wants contact from people that he loves that have passed, and I keep trying to say, well, it's happening, but he very much is like myself, and he needs a lot of proof. He hasn't, it's not a situation for him, where it's been in his face his whole entire life to the point that he can no longer, deny that these things are happening. It's not like that. He has had some experiences, but not to the not to the point that I have. Not so many that you just don't even question things anymore. And of course, just like he was blaming the cabinet doors opening and closing on the cats, the lanterns, he felt like I just must have done it and not known I did it. So, that was his take on the situation. And that's why I say, we all have loved ones that are reaching out to us all the time. And we need to be mindful of that and not miss it when they do try to reach out to us. If there's no logical explanation for what's happening, someone is trying to reach out to you, and you should listen. You should listen to that. So now I want to tell you about a sweet little friend of mine. In the occupation that I have, I meet so many sweet people, and this sweet lady was and is such an amazing person. I could go into detail about all the amazing things about her, but I won't, just because I always have to be mindful of HIPAA when I am discussing anyone that I cared for as a nurse. So, to be sure that I am respectful of that law, I won't go into all the reasons that she is an amazing person. But she is an amazing spirit now. I cared for her at a facility that I worked at. And I left that facility and went into pediatric nursing. And that's been some years ago now. And one evening, I was standing at the sink washing dishes, and I just felt someone rush up behind me, and they wrapped their arms around me and squeezed me so tight. And, I said to them, okay, you don't have to be so dramatic. I know you're here, And it surprised me because they were squeezing me so hard. And because, I have contact and things like that, but this was a bear hug from behind. So my first reaction was like, okay, okay, I know you're here. No need to be so aggressive about it, because in my mind that was my interpretation of what was happening. Well, fast forward to 24 hours later, and I get a phone call from a good friend of mine that is a nurse as well. And she is on social media, and through social media, she found out that my sweet friend had passed the day before. So then it was apparent to me who it was that had come to visit me and why I got the bear hug. I knew who it was, and she was just stopping by. We hadn't been able to see each other for a while because of the whole coronavirus situation, and she was just stopping by to give me one last hug on her way out of town, so to speak. So, intermingled with the surprises, there are always these wonderful moments as well. Wonderful, touching, impactful moments that I experience dealing with the spirit world. And that, if we are not acknowledging that spirits are around us, we are ignoring all the wonderful moments just as well as we are ignoring the things that are, the moments that are surprising and maybe require a little more effort on our part to handle. And we're missing out on so much if we don't expand our understanding and don't expand our knowledge and our acceptance of what actually goes on around us. I mean, think about it like this. How many times have we been told thus and such is happening, and that's not actually what's happening? And I'm not talking about spirits in general. I mean, I'm not talking about spirits in particular. I'm talking about in general. Anytime you listen to the news or, get on social media, or anytime, anytime that, unless it's somebody that you can trust what they're saying, there's always two sides to every story, right? Even with this situation, with these podcasts that I am talking to you about, there's more than two sides, right? There is my side, there's the spirit side, and then there's your side to the situation. Because as you're listening to me talk about these things that have happened to me, if you haven't had similar things happen to you, you're analyzing what I'm telling you, right? Which makes perfect sense. I mean, that's a great way to be. Definitely do that. Analyze what I'm telling you. But while you're analyzing what I'm telling you so that you can make the decision for yourself whether these things happen or whether they don't happen, if you leave yourself open to the fact that we don't know everything about what goes on around us, there are a lot of things that happen that we don't see around us. Then, you give yourself room to grow. You're giving yourself the opportunity to grow in whatever direction you want to grow in, which we all need that. And I'm guessing that there are spirits that need it too. I mean, growth, if you think about it, you stay here you're going to grow after you pass, because you're going to have all kinds of experiences as a spirit now that you never had as a human being. Then, if you make the choice to go on, you have even more experiences to grow, more opportunities to grow. And that's what this podcast can be, is an opportunity to grow. Whether you grow in the direction I'm growing in or you grow in a different direction, it's up to you. You're a unique individual, and it's up to you whichever direction you use this, how you use this for growth, and how you allow these podcast episodes to define you. That's your choice. You get to choose, how do these experiences define you? And how, if you're somebody that's having these experiences like I am, you get to choose, how is this going to define me? What am I going to take away from this? What is important for me to take away from this? From these experiences. The way that I have let it define myself is, to understand, it gives me the understanding that we don't know everything, and we'll get more information when we pass. And for me, that was a defining realization to me. So then everything, it changed my viewpoint on everything. All interactions. It changed my viewpoint on all interactions with spirits, whichever way you want to look at it. It changed my view of the world. And I recognized that there is so much going on here, and we are infants in our understanding of it. And, that's how I let it define me. But that's just me. I'm one person. I'm an individual, and you're an individual. And every day we get to choose how impactful moments will define us. What will we do with them? So, if you choose to use this to help other people, that's an excellent way to allow this to define yourself, to be there for someone else, So anyway, that is wrapping it up for now as far as the experiences that I've had at this particular location. I've asked my husband and my son if they would join me for an episode, and they both agreed to. I do have to tell you guys ahead of time, though, that these two men are not chatty. So, what that's going to look like, your guess is as good as mine. But you'll get to see, you'll get to hear the perspective of two people. One that is just starting into his spirit revolution, I guess you could call it, and which is my son, and then my husband, who dips his toe in, but he's really not sure. He's still not sure if, if it's all he trusts me, he believes me, but he's just not sure that he could have all those experiences that I'm having. If that makes sense. Like maybe he doesn't have the gift, as my grandmother called it. So, anyway, thank you all for listening to another episode of Spirit Chats with Kat and hanging in there with me. Even though I'm spacey and sick today, I really appreciate all of you. I appreciate the gift that you give me every time I sit down here to record another podcast. It means so much to me. Another episode. It means so much to me. And don't forget, pop over to Twitter. And I'm trying to keep the Twitter just for those of you who listen to the podcast versus public. It's not a public, I don't even know what they call it over there. But you guys know what I'm talking about. It's not public, so it's just for our group. So, do you send friend requests or something over there? I'm winging this, you guys. I am seriously winging it. So, but send me a request and I'll accept it, and you can, take a peek at all the behind the scenes stuff and get some great articles on how to listen to your gut and things like that as well. And you'll be able to follow Amy Bruni and Grant Wilson on there as well. And we can track when the new season of Kindred Spirits is coming out. Because apparently there is a new season, it looks like. Hopefully, fingers crossed. So anyway, thank you all for joining me. And email me your questions. Email me your comments, your diagnoses, whatever it is that you need to discuss with me. Email it to me. Don't forget about sending me your emails, and I'll do at least one episode. It depends on how many questions I get. If I get a significant amount of questions, we'll do several episodes. And we can learn from each other. So thank you again, everyone, for listening to another episode of Spirit Chats with Kat.